4th of May 2023. This news flash, I'm going to talk about this story that has now been circulated again about that Russian plane that landed at Waterkloof air base. And same thing as with the Frankfurt solar farm. A lot of sensation with very little substance. But let's go. This was the tweet that caught my attention. Chris Hartang tweeted, "Ask for comment. Brigadier General Andris Mahapa, Defence Force spokesman, said that the aircraft merely delivered some diplomatic mail for the Russian embassy in Pretoria." Now, he quoted from an article by Business Live, which had the heading, "Russian aircraft of sanctioned firm in stealth Waterkloof landing. Defence Force says it delivered diplomatic mail, but experts suggest the crew may have feared seizure." Now, I've got a problem with this heading for a start, but as with the Frankfurt thing, same story, sensationalized to work as clickbait. That is what it is. Why was the word stealth used? Why? Why was that used? But it was the reporter. Erika Gibson is the journalist. And then look at that. Lo and behold, she's got 4 followers. Now let's look at the article. And I'm not going to read the whole article because it's quite a long article. But I'm going to read a few captions out of it. There it says, "The Defence Force says it delivered diplomatic mail, but experts suggest the crew may have feared seizure." Now, who the hell are these experts? And who would seize the plane on the South African soil, on a South African airport? The last time I checked, South Africa was not a colony of the USA or as the 57th or 59th state of the USA. South Africa is an independent country. Why did I say that? As South Africa's international alignment with global powers comes under increasing scrutiny, a military aircraft owned by a Russian company under sanctions quietly slipped into Waterkloof Air Force Base at night on April 24. Sounds like a paragraph from a fucking spy thriller, not a news bulletin. But the key, under sanctions. Where is those sanctions coming from? United States of America sanctions, not UN sanctions, American sanctions. And, as I said, South Africa is not a state of America. The aircraft that landed at Waterkloof belongs to Aviacon Zitotrans, one of the commercial airlines put under sanctions by the US Treasury on January 26 over its involvement in transporting armaments and components on behalf of the Russian armed forces. Now let me lose my cool here. So, America and the whole fucking West can ship and plane and train and send by road arms into Ukraine. That is no problem. But fuck knows if somebody, somewhere, support Russia. I'll work on my temper on this one. In the same announcement, the US Treasury also slapped sanctions on the Wagner mercenary group as a transnational criminal organization. Aviacon Zitotrans has assisted Wagner with supply flights in the past. So, The biggest global terrorist organization, the United Snakes of America, they can brand Wagner as a mercenary group. The aircraft in question was the Ilyushin IL-76 heavy lift cargo aircraft that departed Kalovsky Air Base in Russia on April 21. The base is home to the Russian Air Force 8th Special Purpose Aviation Division, as well as the 223rd and 224th Flight Detachment, which services the Wagner private military army with its logistical needs. It circumvented the continent anti-clockwise from Russia until it landed in various African countries before arriving at Waterkloof at 10 p.m. on April 24. 4 hours later it took off again. So obviously this plane was doing a circular route with landings in a few countries. The government has come under heavy criticism over its foreign policy, which seems to be pro-Russian. This followed after its repeated refusal to condemn Russia's invasion of Ukraine at the world's forums and a joint naval exercise off the KwaZulu-Natal coast in February. Now, for this journalist with her 4 followers, I have got some news. First of all, South Africa is part of BRICS, and if you don't know what BRICS stand for, the R in the BRICS is for Russia and the S in the BRICS is for South Africa. Think about that. Second, refusal to condemn Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Yes, correctly. Refuse to condemn it because the fucking USA, through all its proxies and sticky fingers associated CIA, whatever groupings, was busy provoking Russia for many years. And the slaughter of Russian citizens, Russian civilians in the Donbass was swept under the carpet by this evil Western group. And that was why the Russians went in there. After 14,000 people were killed in the Donbass since 2014. So this journalist with her 4 followers, there is a good reason why Russia is not condemned for invasion. It was not the invasion. They went in there to save the people in the Donbass. And that coastal exercises, I refer you back to BRICS. In December, a Russian cargo vessel is alleged to have docked in Simonstown naval base carrying unknown cargo. Now, that I have handled in the Skidmark. Point number 1, it is not alleged that it had docked in Simonstown. It did dock in Simonstown. And the cargo was military cargo. Nothing to do with you. And then comes this paragraph. A debate is raging over the South African International Criminal Court membership, which has become contentious in light of the upcoming BRICS summit to be hosted in South Africa in August. Russian President Vladimir Putin has been invited to attend despite a warrant for his arrest issued by the ICC for alleged atrocities committed during the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Now, those atrocities has been handled by many outlets. It is total bullshit, and we all know it is bullshit, and many African countries have told them to pack up and footsack with their stories, and that's the story. And don't make it sound sinister that we have our doubts about the ICC. Asked for comment, Brigadier General Andries Mahapa, Defence Force spokesman, said that the aircraft merely delivered some diplomatic mail for the Russian embassy in Pretoria. He explained that the embassy requested assistance with the flight's landing clearance at Waterkloof via a note verbal That's a diplomatic request to the Department of International Relations and Cooperation. All aircraft with international diplomatic status are allowed to land at Waterkloof, provided the correct processes are followed. The flight was cleared by the Air Force command post with all the prescribed processes having been followed. The aircraft departed Luanda and arrived at Waterkloof on Monday, as specified on the request and clearance. It later departed Waterkloof to Harare after the offloading of diplomatic mail, Mahapa said in response to a question from Business Day. And this is a straightforward, simple explanation. But here she goes again. What remains unclear is why the flight's routing on the Flight Radar 24 application is clearly visible in all the countries where it landed, but not to and from Waterkloof Air Force Base. She should go and dig and find out. A renowned international satellite image analyst who used his Twitter handle due to the type of work he does, plotted the aircraft's route and told Business Day that this might indicate more sensitivity about the flight. This might indicate. Defense analyst Helmut Romer, Heitman, said while the explanation seems viable, considering the route the aircraft followed around the continent, it is not known what the mail bag contained. It is not known. That's why it is a diplomatic bag. And here comes it. I could have been a substantial container. In the apartheid years, the South African government used diplomatic bags to fly military components like tank batteries to South Africa because the country was under an international arms embargo. Okay, now, I just want to know, this is now pure speculation. This is just speculation. So far we've seen a lot of speculation and assumptions. Not very much facts. The only facts came from Brigadier General. And the fact that the thing actually landed at Waterkloof and actually departed from Waterkloof. That is the only facts. The rest is just assumptions and stories. Just like the commercial Russian vessel, which delivered unknown cargo at Simonstown Naval Base in December, the crew was probably scared that the aircraft or vessel might be seized if it had landed at a commercial airport or harbour. Seized by who? By who? By this journalist. The illusion belongs to a commercial company under sanctions. And seizure is a distinct possibility. A distinct possibility. Who the fuck is going to seize it? American agents seize the plane on South African airport? I don't think so. The diplomatic bag could also have contained communication equipment in light of the expected visit of firearms for Putin's protection team. We can only speculate, Heitman said. Yes, speculate, but this journalist prints the speculation. It is certainly unusual for Russia to go to such extremes only to deliver the mail, but embassies do have regular logistical resupply flights. And there are no other commercial flights between South Africa and Russia to handle the supplies. There comes a little bit of sanity. And then it just tells the thing went back to Russia. Putin's attendance has put South Africa under pressure to arrest. Russian president at the BRICS summit after the ICC issued a warrant for his arrest in March this year. Justice and Correctional Services Minister Ronald Lamola said that this week in a briefing to the Portfolio Committee on Justice and Correctional Services, the government was considering an amendment to the legislation that could enable it to suspend the implementation of the Rome Statute, which gave rise to the International Criminal Court and to which SA is a signatory, which will be a brilliant move, but I don't know why they want to suspend them. It's just walk away from that bullshit because it's a tool in the hands of the West. America is not even a member or a signatory to the Rome Statute. But they sicked their little toy bomb called Britain on to fabricate that bullshit warrants. But I had to do this because this is how these journalists, I call them journalists, go about twisting and molding and corkscrewing facts and mix facts and fables and assumptions and illusions and fuck knows what, just to get some clicks. But I can understand that she needs clicks. She's got 4 followers. Hell, she must be desperate, so desperate to put bullshit like this together and publish it. I hope you enjoyed this little intervallum here on this late evening while I'm sitting here in the dark and a load shedding, and I just had to do this one. Have a great evening. Please give me a like and a subscribe and share the thing. Thank you.